Hello and welcome to The Print. Today is 31st of March 2026, a deadline that Union Home Minister Amit Shah had set for wiping out Naxalism from the country. In fact, yesterday in the parliament, he announced that the goal has been achieved. He said that the Politburo members, the leadership of the Naxalites, have either surrendered or they have been killed in action by the security forces, or many of them have been arrested. To discuss the big story today with us, we have a very special guest, Mr. K. Vijay Kumar, who has led from the front in many of these anti-Naxal operations. He has been the DG of the CRPF. He was, in fact, the security advisor to the Ministry of Home Affairs on the anti-Naxal strategy. He has also served as the chief of the special task force that took out Veerappan. So, to discuss what really help the government have an edge over the others to achieve this goal, what really worked for them, and what were the key turning points. We have with us Mr. Vijay Kumar. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir, and taking out time to speak to us about this important development.
I'm happy to be on the print. My best wishes to Shekhar Gupta and team, my old friend there. All right.
So first thing I'll ask you, Mr. Amit Shah gave a very passionate speech in the parliament yesterday. In fact, he said that we have achieved what we thought we would by 31st of March 2026. And this agenda they set in fact, in 2024, that they would wipe out Naxalism completely from the country, and they are very close to their target. In fact, he gave out a lot of data of surrenders, of how the Politburo has completely, it has been almost wiped out with just one or two members left. What is your assessment of Mr. Shah's claims?
Absolutely, I endorse because last 2 years it has been going at a very, very hectic pace. And the forward basis, more than 250 have been opened in the recent past, virtually penetrating into the so-called liberated zone and evicting them from there. And they had no place to go. They had to either get killed or get arrested or surrender. In all these three parameters, the Indian nation has done very well, and the Home Minister has taken a massive lead in this whole thing. So when he mentioned that 31st is the deadline and we have almost finished, I think both the words are appropriate because he has given out a lot of data which is absolutely validated. Number one. Number two, I will just give you one small index. The most important, the apex group of the Maoist organization is in Politburo. Then you've got the Central Committee. Then you've got the other committees called the Military Commission.
Right.
In all this, except for the man who is 77-year-old Ganapati, who was the former chief, 2004 to 18, I think he was the head, 14 years. He was the longest head of this combined group of PWG and the Communist Center of India, which emerged in 2004. And he is nowhere to be seen. We don't know whether he's alive or dead. So, leaving him aside, he had handed over the charge to Basavaraju, who has been killed already.
Yes. Yes.
That happened a few months ago. Then there's one more person in Jharkhand, Mr. Besra. He's also a very senior man. He escaped, I think, in 2007 or so. Thereafter, he went underground. He's one senior most, and apparently, he may be willing to come this side. And then another important factor is, when you say a deadline 31-3, we should not be looking at as if it's a drop of a hat or switching off a button and say, no, everything is not that way. He is giving it from the strategic and macro angle. If you take a tactical lens and go and point out, yes, there are a couple of guys here and there, that's okay, that may be possible. So even an icon under microscope, you can find some spots. Basically, and fundamentally, I completely go with this approach of we are almost there. We almost finished this form of insurgency called the Maoism in India, which has been bugging us for so many years now.
So you have seen this movement very up close. In fact, when it was at its peak, what do you think really broke their back? Was it strategic security? Was it something that the government did in the form of its schemes, developmental schemes, the surrender policy? What do you think really worked for them, and what gave them that edge?
It's a combination of the whole lot of things. You mentioned about security, you mentioned about development, you mentioned about the incentives for surrender and so on. You see, but sometimes if you give an incentive of 1 crore for surrender, Ganapati's figure was that much long time ago. He didn't
Yeah.
surrender.
Yeah.
So that alone won't work. We have to induce, we have to create the atmosphere which sort of forces them or encourage them to go for a surrender. Then when you say security and development, development cannot happen without security being there. So, to me, and to the entire international situations where whichever has handled insurgency, it has always been the security which is the first leg to kick open the door and enter such areas. Otherwise, development cannot happen. We had a typical situation where a beautiful, nice hospital or something was building was put up in remote area of Bastar, one of the districts there, and within no time it was blasted. And the officer who went there to supervise, to check what happened, to check the investigate, he was also blasted. We had double whammy. So it is incorrect to say that the whole thing is because of lack of development. Therefore, they start the development first. Many people start talking that way. It's not. It doesn't happen. So it has to go as. Actually, three legs of a stool. You can one is the security, other is the development, third is the psyops. PSYOPs means we have to make the public feel that we are with you. And PSYOPs means it's not a fake ops. I don't mean that. Psychologically impacting them. The force of the government, the benevolent force of the government should be felt by the public and they should feel that you are here for good. Otherwise, what happens is these people have taken the early mover advantage. They have moved into such remote areas where there was no governance, there was no government, nothing was there. So they were able to put the roots down. They were able to do some, what you call, community service, creating small area. So they have won the hearts and minds of the people somehow, willy nilly, before us. So we have to go and counter that. So it's a massive effort which has happened over a period of time. And the full impetus was given in the last, under the present Home Minister, in pushing it forward and bringing it to this stage.
In fact, he did mention that when people don't support such a movement, it collapses. And I think that is what happened here as well, because the local population, in fact, was not with the Naxal leaders anymore.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen just overnight. It
Yeah,
happens over
of
a period
course.
of time. It's like a wrangling match between two sides. On one side is the insurgent, other side is the counter-insurgent. The counter-insurgent, that is the police security forces, move in with the inherent or the starting handicap of being an alien, an outside force which is there. Whereas
Right.
these guys have gone and established themselves and developed a rapport. Whether they use coercion or force or persuasion or whatever, they have become part of that local setup. Now we go and try to displace them. It calls for a massive effort of being. They should be able to find us as a credible force which is going to support them, stay with them. Invariably, in every insurgency, not more than 1 to 5% of the population will start supporting you after watching you for some time,
Yeah.
and they get butchered. They get exposed as informants. That's called exemplary killings. These kind of actions discourage other potential informers to coming to you. And so information is the key in all these insurgency operations. So you have to be avoiding the collateral. The innocent should not be punished. At the same time, your information has to got to be precise. These are all theoretically possible, but actually on the ground, it becomes a hell of a lot of a problem for the platoon commander or the company commander. Platoon commander means I'm talking about 30, 35 people, and company commander means a team of about 90 to 100 people of the security forces. So it is the company commander and the platoon commander who are the real fighters. It is not the DG CRP or the DG BSF or anybody fighting. It
Yeah.
is these kind of people. So they've got to be very strategic in the thinking because they've got to decide that. And whatever decisions they make, it will impact the government. And the very important thing was the coordination between the center and the states because 10 states were originally involved. And finally, it came down to 2 or 3 states. And within the 2 or 3 states, a few districts. So there was a tremendous amount of coordination in reaching this stage today.
But sir, analyzing this entire period, what do you think was the key turning point here?
The key turning point, there are several, three, four turning points. I think the biggest turning point was the massacre at Dantewada, Chintalnar, in which 75 CRP men and one uh, Chhattisgarh policeman was killed. You'll wonder why this 75 and 1. That was the situation there. The center was able to afford induction of huge number of forces by mobilizing them from Northeast, from J&K and other places. Whereas the state government in Basta Bastar means I'm talking about now it has become 5 districts or 6 districts. I'm talking about entire Bastar as a region had very sparse or very scanty police population. The public population ratio was absolutely adverse to the police. In some of the police stations, which are far and each covering about 150, 200 kilometers area, the policemen had a strength of one sub inspector and 6, 7 constables. This situation took a long time to change. And those days, when tribals did not offer you any kind of problems, it was okay because most of the legal issues, they could settle it among themselves. They didn't have to come to the police station. But when things changed, when the Andhra ideologues moved into Bastar, because Bastar was a safe refuge, and they moved into Bastar because Andhra police started taking heavy, good action, solid action under a very illustrious officer called H.C. Dora, who passed away very recently. He was the DGP for 5 years. Andhra police turned the tide, and Andhra police had lost 600 policemen, mind you. It is not without sacrifice they came to the stage. That is why the Andhra model of creating a special force called Greyhounds and creating this model of command and control, single agency to handle everything, unified command, development security flew seamlessly, was copied by the rest of the others. So
I
challenge
think
for
that's
us
why
was,
DRG also did so well.
yeah, district, they did a fabulous job. They are the people, they are the sons of the soil, and they can see they can feel and see, and the tactual and the visual and the auditory sensitivity in the jungle for them are double that of our we people from other ways. Our training from people coming from Delhi or Himachal or other places getting into Bastar, we may be highly trained, but to get into that ecosystem there, to get to understand the jungle over there, to to get the nuances takes time. So that's where they had an advantage.
So, since we are talking about these local
Yeah,
forces,
you asked me the turning points. So
yes,
the turning point that after that massive incident happened, the center really woke up in a sense that they got a shock. I mean, till then the prime minister has mentioned this problem as single most serious problem of internal security, foremost problem and all. But then the funds were pumped into this action for development and coordination, etc. From that point onwards, in a huge way. G.K. Pillai as Home Secretary played a pivotal role. This was one turning point. Subsequently, when things were steadily going up with centrally aided programs, later when the new government came in 2014, further impetus was given by Mr. Rajnath Singh. And again in 2019, the present Home Minister gave certain deadlines. When some people say deadlines don't work and deadlines are not sacrosanct and so on, yes, there could be minor violations. For example, in Garchiroli, Romba, one steel for the steel mining of this iron ore, one company had contracted and they had tied up with the higher levels of the Maoist organization that they will have safe passage. But that communication was defined by the local fellow and he shot that chap dead. So-called manager of that unit was shot dead. I forget the name of the guy. And then he took away some 10, 15 lakhs money which was there. So these kind of things, maverick action, some kind of deviance acting can still happen because the Maoist organization as a force is almost gone. And Devji, Tripati is his other name, he had openly said we want to come into the mainstream. So in spite of by and large, the organization getting decapitated and rest of them crumbling, in spite of that, there could be some maverick 1 or 2 actions. But overall, it has happened. So the turning points were 2, 3. And the real turning point in giving the final push was the last 2 years, where I mentioned the forward operating bases were open. And there were some fantastic operations which happened in the recent past, and it paid very rich dividends.
Right. But sir, like the opposition pointed out, that a lot still needs to be done. So do you, I mean, they're calling it maybe a tactical retreat, but not the defeat of an ideology, like Mr. Owaisi said in the parliament yesterday. So do you think it's a complete wipeout, or there are certain things that still need to be watched and, kept under scrutiny?
I do not want to get into the polemics of the political leadership. There were sagacious people on either side. But if I start getting into the minds and figuring out what they are trying to say, it will be a little hazardous. But I can safely mention one thing, that any movement when it is stamped out, it can create some bubbles here and there. It's not like water completely vaporized. It can there's some minor leaks in there. And this ideology is very virulent ideology. And it appeals to the penurious, appeals to the people who are deprived. It tries to be very glamorous for the people who are the wretched of their life. You know that Francis Fanon. There's a book, Wretched of. So it will start trying to emerge in one form or the other. It may not be Naxalism. Naxalism became Maoism. And Maoism, interestingly, is the most virulent form of Marxism. Marxism became Marx-Leninism, and then one by one, the people who came into politics, they started getting into the politics, and at one stage, Tripura, West Bengal, and Kerala were with the Marxists. But when this Marxist in West Bengal took a very, very extreme line, Hari Krishna Konar, who was a former Marxist, he himself was the Home Minister or Agriculture Minister, I forget what, he had to put them down with severe action. So this is a very virulent and very dangerous thing because they are talking about uprooting of the government. So any government which comes, including a Marxist government, if it is there, they took a very solid stand against them. It's a very dangerous thing to. It has to be controlled, wiped out because there's no alternative. When a man is coming to you with a gun and saying, "I don't want this government, any government," I mean, there's no space for in our democracy. Our democracy may have its own faults. Opposition may have some views of the government, etc. But overall, all of them would agree that they cannot afford to have a dangerous organization which says in their own document that we will overthrow all of you.
Right. But sir, are there any blind spots that you'd say that shouldn't be ignored?
I wouldn't call it blind spots. I think I mentioned to you if you take a tactical mirror and go to apply over any strategic paper or strategic document or strategy per se, you will always you can read somewhere some fault here and there, one comma is missing, one colon is missing.
Yeah.
But the main point is the people of this area are the ones who are sitting on the richest of the minerals, richest of the water sources, and richest of the jungles. It's a juxtaposition of all these three factors. So when we are going into and the minerals or the natural asset, it's not the personal asset of any group or tribe or any class or any caste or community. It's a national asset. It has to be exploited. In exploiting it for national good, it should not be depriving the locals and creating a feeling that we are alienated. I'm not talking about today, I'm talking about the history of last 200, 300 years. When British went in and created monoculture of teak and salt forest, teak forest, rosewood forest for their own good. And they've created tea estate and they had to displace thousands of Santals from Jharkhand and send them to Assam. These kind of displacements have happened over a period of time, not today. So the so-called feeling of injustice has been uh, put into the mind for a long time. But over a period of time, now they cannot be kept aside saying that you don't require development, you be where you are a simple tribals. It's no more that argument has been one by one between Elvin Veria, who wanted to keep them as good simple tribals, as archaeological artifacts or museum pieces, not to be disturbed in their own, iconic heaven. Whereas there's a person called Gurye. He argued that these people, in terms of poverty index, in terms of the deprivation, they are worse than some of the other scheduled tribes, some scheduled tribes and scheduled castes. So you should not leave them aside. You should bring them forward and allow them to get the benefits of the national progress. So the argument between how much development should be infused into these backward areas is always been there, and now it has taken a little more hectic kind of a form. So my answer to your question is these people should not be left behind. So already the lot of emphasis has been given by the Home Ministry for this development, more hospital, more education, etc. So bring them forward rather than allow them to hang around. At the same time, without offending their cultural ethos and cultural purity and so on. It's a very complex kind of thing, but that
Yeah.
is what the attempt is.
Yeah, it's very layered that way. But so how serious is the threat from, say, urban networks? Because even yesterday in his speech, the Home Minister spoke about some groups writing articles, 2,000 articles sitting in their homes about how the tribals are not that this was a fight about their rights and this was a fight for them. However, it wasn't. How serious is this threat? Because we've seen in
See,
the last few years since.
no, I will tell you. As for I didn't actually go through the thing in detail. I've not completely watched it, so I will not be proper for me to actually get into the nuances of the discussion there. But I can generally mention one thing. There's a difference between armed uh, tribal who says that I am following Mao Zedong, I am following Maoism, I will kill you. I don't want this government or any government. And another person who is not armed, who has got an empathy and compassion for the tribals.
Right.
So if you try to express your compassion for the armed tribal, I am not with you. I will say that you are not a good person. You are not on the correct lines because you are supporting a man who is armed. If the same logic is applied that everybody who's been at the wrong end of a stick of injustice can take up arms, then there will be every second fellow, third chap can take up arms in the country because a lot of people feel that proper justice has not been done to them. So therefore, there is no justification for supporting an armed insurgent. But if you're an activist supporting, if you're a compassionate NGO supporting a cause and saying that there's are poor tribals, because of Bella Bella Dam, you people have been displaced. I want to help you to the thing possible. But no revolution there, no violence there. In the democratic method, there is part of the cake you also give me. I want to participate in the overall development and I want to fight for you. These are two different things. I am very clear about it. If you support the armed insurgent, you are no good. I won't be with you. If you are only supporting the cause of the good, simple tribal and you want them to progress, that's a different thing.
Because we have
That's
seen
all.
a crackdown on activists and writers,
I,
journalists in the
I, I
past
have
so many
no,
years.
I have not gone into the details of those things. I only confine myself to where I can say something. Therefore, I would confine to my subject here.
Right. All right. Sir, you have had such a long career. You've worked with different governments, I would say. So, in another point that Mr. Shah made, and he has made that in the past as well, that there was political will to end this, which wasn't present in the Congress time. In fact, he went ahead to say that I have no shame in saying, and I'm saying that on record, that they let it fester. So, I want to know from you.
How can I see? This is mentioned in Parliament. This is
Yeah.
mentioned by Home
No, but
Minister.
what
On
what
both the
did the
counts,
earlier
on the both the
governments
counts,
not do?
it'll be not appropriate for me to counter that or say anything because it was not marked to me or told to me or it's a general statement. It's a
But
political
can you
statement.
at least tell our
No,
viewers that
no,
what
wait.
can give this
Just,
government an edge and
just
yeah,
give me a second.
yes,
If I am in the parliament as a member, if I had witnessed it, or if I am in opposition party or his party, my stand will be a little more vocal or different. But I am a member of the police bureaucracy or the police leadership. I have handled the state government in various capacities at the highest
right,
level.
right,
I have handled it also the the head of the CRP and as advisor, senior security advisor for
yes,
ministry.
yes,
All I can say is, as far as I was concerned, I didn't find anyone interfering with the kind of work we needed to do.
okay,
But as I mentioned, the last 2 years, the impetus or the push has been tremendous.
right,
Therefore, I won't be getting into whether he said certain things about some. I mean, I have no idea about that. But as we never found, as far as I'm concerned, in all my various tenures or positions, I could do what I thought was correct. And we tried to be ethical, and we had tremendous amount of losses. The year I took over, the losses were 130 for the CRP, and the highest ever in
right,
the history of CRP. Only time I think such a loss was there was in Srikakulam riots, I'm told, not so much. That was 67 or so. Similar, some huge losses were there, I'm told. Therefore, that's it. My comments are nothing beyond this. But there is a point in this, he's a man of great details,
yeah,
both in macro level and in micro. To
hmm,
get into the minutiae, he
hmm,
was very good, especially when I told you about forward operating bases and all.
right,
He would even discuss places with maps and so on. So there was a lot of personal touch about the achievement.
right. At the end, I would ask you to give us our viewers a little bit of insight in the Veerappan operation. I'm sure you're asked this a lot, and if you could share two bits about it, even if it's something light that you want to share.
it's a it's an operation in which all my previous academic exposure to a lot of books on terrorism, insurgency, jungle warfare, guerrilla warfare did help me to be a theoretician in formulating certain operational strategies. Essentially, catching a mosquito with a you can only have a the mosquito, the fly squad. You can't carry a big machine and try to smash a mosquito. With a hammer, you can't hit it. This is what I had already known, and this is what was validated during my days there. But before I joined, my predecessor had done a lot of groundwork, and their good work and their omissions. I was carefully reading their omissions, where such good men could not achieve, was where my steps for success started from there. I relied on the intelligence, which was the most crucial thing, and my number two was Santamure Kannana, a brilliant um, tactician, and he played a major role because he was looking anything but like a policeman. Because of his subtle looks, he could go into prisons and talk to people who are in the prison. He could talk to the media people. He could talk to many people, and so he could access information which was otherwise not possible for me to personally gather. So, to sum it up, you must read the book I have written on this. It's a bestseller. It's doing very well. It's not
I have gone through it, sir. I have read it.
You have gone through it.
Yes.
I hope you have given a decent
Yes.
rating.
Yes, I did.
I'm not. No, it's doing very well.
Yeah.
But I have basically mentioned that such operations have to be based mainly, predominantly on intelligence.
Yeah.
Finding a man is only if there is proper intelligence. Otherwise, you will be going around the forest and beating the bushes. And we have spent more than 6-7 battalions looking into 10 by 10 kilometers without even finding him there. But he was right there sitting in the middle.
Yeah. In fact, that is why I asked you, sir, since you've been involved in such a sensitive operation, that what worked here? Was it intelligence-led operations? Was it these schemes? Was it the local support? But as far as operations are concerned,
also not local support. We didn't get actual local support. We tried to reduce the opposition to our operation. You understand? We are not getting local support. So I told them, if you are not with us, it doesn't matter, but don't be against us. That is what the funda of the our civic action was. My predecessor, Natarajan, a very illustrious officer who became MLA later, he had trained a lot of these girls from the hills to become police women. And because of the training he gave as a benevolent measure, without free of cost, many of them could become police women. And this goodwill which he created was one of my foundation stones for me to further counter the opposition which was coming to us. Otherwise, the hill people were quite against us, thinking that you people come to trouble us and so on. So on one side, neutralizing the opposition of the civilian side, NGOs could not completely endorse and start, come on our side. I said, if you don't come on our side, doesn't matter, but don't go against us. Let us do our operation. And most crucial was the intelligence to make sure he comes out of his strong area into the neutral area where he was not strong and we were not strong, and the turf became equal, and you know what happened.
Yes. No, that was an excellent operation. In fact, we've all read about it. We've seen documentaries. It's one of the most famous operations, in fact. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for taking out time, and thank you for all the work that you have done.
Thank you. Appreciate, and good luck to you and your team.